Madhu, you can take care of the persons.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Students, kindly mute your mic and no, kindly switch off your video.
ஏன் என்ன அச்சோ
Madhu sir,
Sir.
என்னப்பா இந்த
Madhu sir.
Sir, இருக்கு sir.
Okay, so you can take care of that thing, sir. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm actually taking care of that only.
and actually you are going to introduce the chief guest right now.
Sir.
Even I shared that no profile through LinkedIn, right?
Yes, sir.
Huh.
No problem, sir. I'll do the
Okay, okay.
introduction.
Yeah. Good evening. I hope students of EC and Triple E, you are all in meeting right now. And the meeting is all about, so you know the precautions, what you are going to make now while you are connected with meeting. First of all, I request all the participants to unmute, sorry, to mute and to stop your video. And if you are having any queries, No, there is a simple raise your hands. That option is available in your Zoom screen. And so we are expecting a resource person around 4:55. And right away, 5 o'clock, now we can start. And today's thing is we are going to analyze the career options and opportunities which are available for engineers, especially in electronics field. Because today's resource person name is Mr. Ranjit. He is electrical architect. He is electrical architect ushered with Philips Healthcare Division in Pune. And hope you might carry a lot of knowledgeable information and what are all the avenues which are available, especially in job market. Because for electronics and electrical, probably you all think that only opportunities are available with IT sector. Yes, of course, IT sector will create a lot of boom normally. But when it comes to your own domain, you should know what are the job positions which are available. So that's very mandate. Without knowing that thing, it is impossible for the people to search for a job. And ultimately, this is the right time because we all face a lot of challenges, especially for the past 3 months. And ultimately, the thing you should know the proliferation of job positions. என்னென்ன job positions இருக்குங்கிறத நீங்க தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டீங்க அப்படின்னா அது உரிய ஸ்டெப்ஸ் என்ன? ஸோ வாட் ஆர் த திங்ஸ் ஐ ஹாவ் டு ப்ரிப்பேர். ஸோ அந்த ப்ரிப்பரேஷன்ஸுக்கு தான் இப்போ நம்ம இந்த மாதிரி ரெடி பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறோம். And whatever the queries that will come to your mind, no, அந்த ஆஸ்க் ஹேண்ட் இருக்கும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா தெரியும், உங்களுக்கு அந்த ஆப்ஷன் இருக்கும் ரைஸ் ஹேண்ட்னு சொல்லிட்டு. கைண்ட்லி மேக் த திங் அண்ட் ஆஸ்க். சரிங்களா? மீட்டிங் நடுவில் என்ன பண்ணாதீங்க ஆடியோ பண்ணுறதோ. அண்ட் பிகாஸ் செஷன் இஸ் அல்டிமேட்லி ஃபார் யூ, ஃபார் த ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ். ஸோ அப்படிங்கிறப்ப இது உங்களுக்கு கரெக்டான டைமாக இருக்கும். அண்ட் அல்டிமேட்லி யூ ஷுட் access the meeting effectively and carry a lot of information regarding the job market because it is vital for you all people. இனி அடுத்த ஒரு 1 year 1.5 yearsல என்ன மாதிரி இருக்கும்னு தெரியாது ஜாப் மார்க்கெட். And ultimately we are facing a lot of challenges to get into GK economy. All you heard about that thing. Most of all, freelancing will be the job market ultimately after 3 years. Even lot of things ultimately there are lot of discussions and lot of things will be discussed in that forum. Okay. And with regards to the meeting, your queries will be posted either in chat box, otherwise feel free to ask. Once question and answer session will be announced, you can access that particular time period and you can post your valuable queries with the guest. Okay, it is ultimately for you people. So I request all the people to utilize properly. This is a humble request from the Department of Training and Placements. And once the meeting will get end, certificates are also provided for students. I can share the feedback link, and while complete the feedback, you can get your certificate through your mailbox. That registered mail ID. Mail ID நீங்க உங்களுக்கு கூகுள் ஃபார்ம் உங்களுக்கு அக்சஸ் பண்ண மாதிரி இருக்கும். அந்த கூகுள் ஃபார்ம் கிரியேட் பண்ணி கூகுள் ஃபார்ம் அக்சஸ் பண்ணி உங்களோட மெயில் ஐடி கொடுங்க, ப்ராப்பர் மெயில் ஐடி கொடுங்க, and immediately you can get certification. Hope guest is in waiting room. I admitted. No, I'm going to admit. So guest உள்ள வந்துருவாங்கப்பா.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Actually,
Uh,
students are getting added. Good evening, sir.
yeah. Good
Students
evening,
are
sir.
getting, yeah, students are
Yeah.
getting added right now,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and we can sharply start by 5 o'clock, sir.
Ah. Yeah. No problem, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks
Yeah.
for your patience, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good evening to all. And there is the need of the hour. and it's the right time to initiate this meeting titled Career Options and Opportunities in Electronics Engineering. I welcome today's chief guest, Mr. Ranjit, electrical architect, Philips Healthcare R&D Division, Pune, on behalf of our managing trustee and correspondent, P.S.R. Solachami sir, our trustee and director, Engineer S. Vigneshwari Arun Kumar madam, our principal, Dr. B.G. Vishnuram sir, and our dean, Dr. P. Marichami sir, and members of faculty from P.S.R. group of institutions. Next, I would like to make a warm welcome to members of faculty, placement coordinators, and one of the most important in today's scenario, our students. And once again, I welcome you all for today's webinar, especially enriching and enhancing the insights towards the job market, especially in electronics engineering. And I personally extend my hearty thanks to Mr. Ranjit sir, because for the immediate acceptance, which is made from the side of sir. And next, I would like to invite Mr. Madhu to make a brief introduction about our today's speaker.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session, Career Options and Opportunities in Electronics Engineering. First of all, I would like to thank our college management to give us the opportunity to conduct this webinar. And it's an honor for me to introduce and welcome our chief guest, Mr. C.V. Ranjit sir, electrical architect in medical imaging at Philips Healthcare, Pune. So he has 18 years of experience in electronics and embedded hardware and product design testing, and he also have 14 years experience in medical device design, which is the radiography detector, X-ray systems, and clinical chemical analyzer. And he is also an expertise in X-ray imaging chains design for cath lab, CRM, and diagnostic X-ray systems. He is also very experienced in working various teams various teams in Netherlands, France, Germany, and he also have a 9 years experience in radiography detector and NDT applications. Welcome you, sir. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us. And it's the right time to initiate the session. And I request Mr. C.V. Ranjit sir to start the session and share us his thoughts and views about career options and opportunities in electronic engineering.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me for this session. And good evening to all. And thanks for joining. So I'll be talking about the career options and opportunities for electronics students. So I mean both B and ME. Okay, so I'll be talking about what are the options after your engineering degree. I mean, so higher education I will talk. Then I'll tell you about different type of industries and different type of jobs. Okay, and then I'll tell you about how a product is developed, the product development flow. So then later I will focus more into R&D. I mean, I will tell you how typically the interview happens in a company. I mean, about the technical and HR, and also how the resumes are screened. Okay, and then I'll tell you what skills you need to have in your resume, to get an uh, interview call, to get an interview call. Okay, so then I'll tell you about the tools and the software, the software etc. use in the industry, so that you can use in your project actually. So that will be very helpful for you. Okay, and later I will I'm gonna talk about the focus subjects, and also the product the product company structure actually, so that you will get an idea how a company looks like and different teams and other things. Okay, so a bit on my experience. So I have over 18 years of experience in electronics hardware design, mainly product design. So I work in end-to-end product design from concept to release. So I work with manufacturing service team and all, and to gather the field data and other things actually. So I work on a lot of microprocessors, controllers, DSPs, and FPGA based hardware design. So I involved in regulatory testing, reliability testing, etc. I've done my MTech in biomedical engineering and bachelor's in electronics and communication engineering. Okay, so I told you what I'll be covering. Okay, so the first and foremost thing for you, as a student, is to have a proper career planning. Okay, so that's very important actually. Okay, so when you are in third year or in final year of engineering, need to decide what you want to do after your engineering. Okay, you should know, have a clear plan, you should have a clear objective. That's very important. Okay, because in any interview wherever you go, whether it is a campus interview or off campus interview, this question will be asked actually, what's your objective, where you will see next say 3 years and so on. So you should have the right answer to that, because it's a very very important question. Okay, so you should really plan what you want to do after your engineering, whether you want to to work in R&D, or you want to work in academics, or in different domain. Okay, or which domain you want to work and so on. Okay, so you have to select your this field. Okay, I mean, when you plan, you need to consider a few things. Okay, you need to select your field based on your passion and interest. That's very important, because your career is very long. Okay, say like 20, 30 years. So you need to choose something which you really like to do. Okay, and the second thing is that you should select your field based on your skills and expertise. That's very very important actually, because what happens is that if you choose a field where your skill set are not meeting. Okay, then it will be very difficult for you to survive. If you see any organization, the project keeps on changing. Okay, so you'll have to work on different technologies, etc. So you need to have a right skill set. Any questions actually? I mean, okay. So if you need to have the right skill set. For example, if you want to work in signal processing, okay, so then in that case you need to have very good knowledge on signal processing algorithms, and also the mathematics, and also the programming language. That's very important. Okay, so you need to select your field based on your skills and expertise. So it's very important. And the third thing is that you also need to know the job availability in the particular field actually. That's very important. Okay, so whichever field you choose, you should have sufficient opportunities for your long term career growth. That's very important. And the last thing is that always look for long term career growth opportunities. Okay, so as a fresher, so you never look for the salary that you're going to get as a fresher, in when whichever company you're joining. Always look for the opportunities for learning, and try to work on good technologies, say in core domain. Okay, so that way your career will be very stable. And at the end, your salary, is proportional to your skill set. Okay, and what work you do. That's very important. Never look for the starting salary. And that is one of the biggest mistake many students make, because there are a lot of small companies, and they students start complaining, saying that there is no opportunities in core domain. That's absolutely wrong. There are over 2000 plus companies working in core domain across India. Okay, from the small companies to the big multinationals. Okay, so you please understand this fact. Always look for the work content, not look for the salary or the company's brand name. Okay, so please careful with this thing, because you choose some job which offer high salary, but at the same time, if you don't do a good work, it will affect your long term career growth and your job stability. So always look for this. Okay, so that's the most important thing. Okay, now I'll talk you about the options after your engineering. After your engineering, you can go for higher studies. Okay, I'll talk about that later. Or you can go for job. It can be in industry, or it can be in academics or research. Okay, or you can start your own company. Okay, that's another option. So higher studies, you have a different options. Say like one is MBA, another is ME MTech. Okay, so I'll tell you later where MBA is useful. Okay, so in which type of job. Okay, so accordingly you can decide. Okay, and again, if we are going for ME MTech, you need to have a proper planning. Okay, because it's very important, because in ME, if you take electronics, you have so many different branches. Okay, so you need to select it again based on your interest and the career planning. Okay, so I'll talk about it later. Okay, so you have a MEM tech, or you can do MS also. And then after that, if you're interested in academics or research, you can do PhD. And even you're in research or in academics, you can do even postdoctoral research. That's a typically research after your PhD. Okay, so typically vary maybe from 1 or 2 years actually, 1 year or 2 year, etc. Right? Okay, so now I'll talk you about the higher study options in India. To get a admission for any master's degree in India in engineering, you need to have a good gate score. Okay, so that means you need to prepare for your gate exam from third year onwards. Okay, then only you're going to get a good score, and if you have a good score, you will get admission in reputed institutes. Okay, and you have a different type of master's degree like MEM Tech, or a research degree like MS by research or MSc engineering or MTech by research, etc. Okay, so you can choose any of this degree. Both are fine, even for getting job in industry. Okay. So my research degree focus more on the research, whereas MEM Tech focus more on theories and then practicals and dissertation, etc. Okay, as I told in the beginning, you need to really know what you're going to do after your MEM Tech. Okay, so that plan you should have in your mind. Okay, so you have to select your specialist according to that. That's the most important thing. Okay, if you want to work in IC domain, you could select a VLSI design, or if you want to work in signal processing or communication, you can select signal processing, etc. Okay, so there are a lot of branches. Okay, I mean, you have a branch called applied electronics. That's also a good branch. Okay, so that's a generic branch. So there are a lot of branches in communication and even signal processing or in image processing. Okay, so you select it based on your planning. Suppose you want to be an IC designer, then the VLSI is the best course. Or you want to work in signal processing or in image processing, you could do ME in signal processing, for example. Okay, so have a clear plan, and also before you finalize your the branch or the course or the institute, please also look into the syllabus. That's very important. Okay, you need to know what you're going to study in that particular course, because the same courses across university, the syllabus is not common. So some syllabus, the university syllabus is quite good, so you could opt for such courses. Okay, and again, one more thing, doing ME and MTech is always very beneficial if you're going in industry also, because ME MTech is considered as a 2-year experience in industry. Okay, so you go join in any company, you'll be joining at a senior level compared to a B student. Okay, so you'll be joining at a higher senior level, and also with a higher salary. Okay, so that whatever you spend 2 years, that's going to add a value, and for your long-term career growth also. So it's always good to do ME MTech if you want to work in R&D and in a core domain. Okay, so that's my recommendation. And you can also go for higher studies. You can do higher studies in America, I mean in Europe, or in Asia Pacific countries. Okay, so a few things you need to understand here. I mean, the typical admission procedure, where you need to have a you need to have a good score in the English language exam like TOEFL or IELTS, plus for US you need to have a good score in GRE. Okay, but that is not going to guarantee your admission. Okay, so your admission also depending on your project, and also the papers that you are published in reputed journals like IEEE. Okay, so if you want to go for higher study in abroad, please plan from third year. Okay, so try to publish some good papers, try to do some good projects, etc. That's very important, because this will help you in admission, and mainly this is going to help you in getting your scholarship, because without scholarship, master's degree is very expensive. It can go say 30 to 50 lakhs actually for a 2-year program. So you need to again have a very proper planning when you are going for higher studies in abroad, because many students have a misunderstanding that having a master's degree in abroad and coming back as a fresher, you get a more salary than a me. That is not correct. Okay, so both are equally paid in industry. So you have a proper planning, decide what you want to do after that. Okay, and do a analysis on that particular country, whether you have whether you have the job opportunities in that particular field and so on. Okay, that's very important actually for you to know. So you need to do that, and again you need to have the right skill set again to get a job. So I will tell you about that later. Okay, and I never just do a master's in abroad and never and assume that you get a higher salary in India as a fresher. So always you go with a proper plan actually. Okay, so you need to have the right skill set, you need to have a good idea on the job market there and the companies, then only you can get a job. Just doing a master's alone will not get you a job. Please understand this fact. Okay, so then you can try for any of these countries. I mean, it's not US alone. Even Europe has much more opportunity than in Europe actually. So US actually, for example. Okay, so but you can find a lot of information from masterportal.com. This is the best site you can say for higher education. And also you can find details from findmasters.com, lot on the scholarship and other things. Okay, so then but then higher education, so after your higher education, for example, you can try for a job in academics, because if you want to get a job in engineering college assistant professor, you need to have a ME or MTech that is required. Okay, or you can go for a research associate or fellow type of jobs actually. After your engineering actually you can do some research there, and then you can do masters and PhD etc. Both are good option. Again, it's your interest, because it's not only, even if you go to teaching, you could be a consultant to some companies and all, because a lot of professors work like that actually. So don't think that teaching is only means just to teach. Means you can be a consultant to various companies, and then so on actually, and to startups and so on. So there are a lot of opportunities, again based on your skills and interest. Okay, so now I'll talk you about a different type of industry. This is very important for you to know. And for the first is IT service company. I think all of you must be knowing about it actually. So what IT service company does is that they do the projects for different customers. Okay, they do different type of projects. Okay, and they do part of the project. They will never do a complete project or develop a product at all actually. Okay, and all these companies um, work on core domain also. So all the Pro, TCS, HCL, all of them work on core domain, say like signal posting or FPGAs, or sorry, VLSI design or embedded system and communication and everything. Okay, but whenever they recruit you, it's not decided in which team or which type of job they are going to put to you. Okay, so that's very important thing you need to understand. If you are already placed, or in any IT company, the reason is that they put only say 5 to 10% of the students they recruit in a core domain actually. So these all companies recruit over 10,000 students every year. Okay, so they work on various things. So again, how they are going to decide is they are going to see your resume after you join any company. Okay, so they will see whether you have the right skill set in DSP to put you in a project, DSP based project. Okay, so please never stop learning, yeah, when you get an offer actually, because many students are making that mistake actually. They'll assume that you are going to get a good job of your choice. There is no, you don't have any choice. Okay, it's your skill set. Okay, and then the requirement in that company, or in the project, that decide you to get in that domain. Okay, so if you don't have the right skill set, you won't be put in that. You could be put in testing, or in financial software, or in quality and different things. Yeah? So please understand this. Then you have a product companies like Eaton, Honeywell, or GE, or any automotive company like Hyundai or anything you take. So what this company does is that they develop the complete product. Say like they have a concept, they design a product, they manufacture it, they sell it, they service it. Okay, so they do end-to-end activity, and these are the best company to work where, because you get a very good exposure on that, because you need to have a complete idea of a product development to grow in your career. Then you have electronics manufacturing companies, so many are there actually, say like Sanmina for example, that's in Chennai. So they do the manufacturing work for product companies, say like they assemble the PCBs, test the PCBs, or even sometimes they will completely assemble any product actually. Okay, so and also they have a design actually, so they do design so for various customers actually. So these are also really good companies to work actually. Okay, so then you have semiconductor companies like Texas Instruments, Intel, and Log Device etc. So they design the IC. At the same time they develop the software, they develop the algorithms etc, which you can use, and also the software development tools for these chips actually to develop. Okay, so then you have product certification companies. So like if you look into your laptop charger or a mobile phone charger, you can see a lot of markings like UL, TV etc, right? The reason for this is that the purpose of all this marking is to ensure that your product is safe to use and it meets the regulatory requirement of particular country. Okay, so what typically they do is they do a lot of regulatory testing like EMI, MC, like electromagnetic interference, and like radiated emission, conductor emission. A lot of these tests they do, so that they'll ensure that your product will not interfere with any other products, or your other products will not cause any impact of the operation of your product. Okay, so that's the main purpose, and also it ensure that these products are safe to use. So you need to have those certifications. So there are a lot of companies like ULTV etc. So mainly in Bangalore, and you have a Samir in Chennai. Even they do the testing actually. They have an quick chamber and all. Okay, so then you have a government organization. So like ISRO, DRDO. So they are R&D organizations. So typically you need to have good gate score to get a job there. And then you have other government organization like BSNL and railways and so on. Okay, so there it's all service based type of job actually, or electricity board and so on. So I mean. You can get try job in that actually, but you need to always understand if your industry is R&D, those companies are not good for you actually, really, because they are not doing any R&D, so it's just integration and testing and other things. Okay, so we have to consider this in mind. Now I'll tell you about the product development flow. I'll tell you how the product is developed. Okay, so in product development flow, you have a lot of phases. Like you start the product development, you will define what you're going to do. Okay, so then you will define what are the features your product will have. Then you will actually start the design. So you will design high level architecture will be designed. Then you'll do a detailed design, say where you have a circuit design, you have software design, mechanical design, etc. Then you do a prototyping, do a lot of testing, regulatory testing, you manufacture a product. Okay, and then you sell the product to customers. Then you get a lot of complaints or feedback and other things. Okay, so then based on that you improve your product. Okay, so that's one thing. Other thing is that whenever you launch a product, okay, so I mean soon after, some other company may launch a similar product with more features. Okay, so to then you need to have that features in your product to improve your sales. That's very important. Okay, and other thing is that I mean any product whatever you do, you have to reduce the cost. Okay, so you have to do a value engineering. Okay, so you have to optimize your design, or assume that you are designing a product today, I mean say 10 years back. So at that time, typically you use a single core processor. Now you have a multi core processor. Okay, so it can do a lot of things actually. So that can be done by three or four processors. Okay, so if you use a multi-core processor, you can reduce your cost actually of your system actually. So like that actually. So no, so that's called value engineering. Okay, so any product development, you have to do a lot of things actually. So before when you start your product, okay, in the initiation phase you decide to start, you need to do a lot of study actually. Assume that you are launching a next version of your car or facelift version of your car, for example. So what typically you do is that you gather all the complaints, okay, that you receive from your service center or the customers. Okay, and then you need to study actually of each complaints, and you have to see like which is important actually for you to solve. Okay, and if there are some safety issues like airbag not deploying, etc., you need to solve that. Okay, so you have to consider all these complaints actually when you design a new product, and you have to solve that problems in your new product. That's the first thing. And second thing, as I told before, you need to have a new features, okay, compared to your competitors actually. So you need to have them in your product. Okay, and then you need to reduce your cost. Okay, so these three things you have to consider when you are launching when you're planning to launch a facelift version of your product or next version of your product. Okay, and assume that you're launching a new product altogether which you never developed. So what you do is that you need to do a market study, because it's important for you to know that which are the other customers who is making similar kind of product. Okay, because why it is important is that you need to know the features that is required, because any person is buying a product based on its feature and other things, right? So you need to know what are the features provided by other similar products from other company, and the cost and other things you need to know actually. And typically you need to also get a lot of details on their complaints, customer satisfaction, etc. So that's why they do like a market research survey, where sometimes they go to different customers, they will ask whatever your expectation, etc. Okay, so once you have all of them, you know that you have all the requirements for your product. Okay, so then you start the project. So where first you do is that you have to define how you're going to develop a product. Okay, what will be your architecture at very high level, because that is very important, because your cost and your time to market, these are the major things actually in any product development. Okay, so this depending on your architecture. Okay, so you define it. Okay, in the concept definition, then you will have a define the features, what product features you will have in your product. Then you go for a high level design. Okay, in a high level design, what you do is that you take the example of a car audio system. So you know the major components there already. So you know that you need to have some processor. It can be a DSP or an ASIC or an FPGA, or you need an amplifier. You need so LCD display, touch pads, and you need the speakers and other things, right? So you will identify all of them. You will define a high level architecture definition. Okay, so once that is designed, then you will also see like whether it is possible for you to have all these features in this architecture. Okay, once that is done, you go to a detailed design phase. Okay, so in the detailed design phase, what you do is that I mean you will have a electrical and electronics engineers, so they design the circuit. Okay, so they'll select the components, they do the circuit design, do the simulation, okay, in P.S.R. Then they do the layout, etc. Okay, and same way you are having a different type of software engineers. So for you have some engineers who will working on signal processing algorithms, somebody will be working on LCD interface, somebody will be working on some communication interface. For example, in car audio nowadays, you have a lot of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and a lot of other things, right? So somebody will be working on that. Then you have mechanical engineers, so they will do the mechanical enclosure cover design and so on. Okay, so what you do is that the software engineers will not have the hardware ready when they start the work, so they will get the evaluation board, they develop the software there, they will see the performance there. Same way electrical engineers also will sometime make us small PCBs themselves actually before the actual PCB comes and test. Okay, so then in the prototyping phase you will have all the parts ready. Okay, and once that is ready, you will go for detailed testing. So the testing phase is very very important in any product development, because in the testing phase you are going to find the defects in your product. Okay, I mean the early phase, like you will sometime what happens is that you may not consider certain things actually, or there may be some errors in your design and so on actually. So in the testing you have multiple stages. So first you do the functional test, I mean sorry, first you do the module test, you will test the module individually, you will see whether you are getting the output as per your expectation. Okay, so then you will combine all the modules, you will do a detailed testing at by testing we'll be doing the detailed testing. Then you have a many more testing, because whatever product you make a designer, you have to manufacture finally. So to manufacture a product, you need to have the certain things considered actually. One is that whenever any product goes for a manufacturing, it should be easy for them to manufacture. They should able to manufacture product fast. Okay, and if there are some problems during the assembly, they should be able to identify fast. These are the major two things. Okay, and then in the same product has to go for servicing, right? Whenever you use any product you have problem, service engineers and come and service. So again, same things are important for service engineers. Okay, they need to identify the problem quickly and they need to solve the problem fast. Okay, so what when the product is like a prototype is ready, the service engineer and quality the manufacturing engineer will visit R&D, and they will do the testing from their perspective. They will see how easy for them to assemble the product. Okay, and how easy for them to identify the errors in the product. Say errors means assume that you have some errors in some particular PCB. Okay, so you should have some indication, like it can be an LED indication or it can be some error code. Okay, they will do all that. Okay, and the service engineer, what they do is that for them when they open a system, they it should be easy for them to open a system first, and then many times service engineer has to monitor the voltages and the signals actually using a multimeter or an oscilloscope right in the field. So they will see how is the test point, how is the location, is it easy for me to put the multimeter probe and so on. So they will do that check actually. Okay, so if everything is okay, your product is partly okay. So now you have a major test remaining. So one is reliability testing, another is environmental testing. Okay, and the last is most important testing, that's called regulatory testing. Okay, so in the reliability test, what we do, the purpose of reliability test is to find the weakest link, or the problems in your design by doing accelerated test. Okay, in your product development actually, because it's very important. If you are having any design issues and if it fails in the field, that will affect your brand reputation. It will have add a cost, your warranty cost will increase, and you will have a lot of customer dissatisfaction. Okay, and in some cases this can cause a safety issues where you have to pay a huge fine, stop production and recall and other things can happen. Okay, so it's very important. So in reliability test you do like testing at different temperature. Say like you may test your system say at -70 degree to maybe 90 degree or 110 degree, depending on type of equipment. Then you do a temperature variation test, because that's very important actually. The reason is that any op amp or any resistor or an ADC performance all will change depending on the temperature. Okay, so what happens is that your offset voltage or the non-linearity errors will increase actually with the increase in temperature. Okay, so that will cause a problem in the system operation, and also it may affect reliability of your product actually. Suppose your voltage goes very high, and so that may damage your processor or any other components. Okay, so what typically we need to do is that during this testing you will get to know these things actually, because you are monitoring your various signals and voltages during this test. Okay, so then accordingly you have to have some control actually, to maybe you have to select a component with a very less tolerance or with less variation, or you have to have some software control actually, corrections etc., so that your output will not be that high actually. So you have to change the gain and something like that you have to have. Okay, for example, so you will get to know all your weakest point in your system design and product. Okay, so then you can improve. Okay, and the next is environment testing. Okay, so whatever product you design, it has to operate at different environmental conditions, temperature, humidity and so on. Okay, So but this test also will be done actually, like you will test your system at various temperature and humidity, and in humidity you will see whether water droplets are going inside, so that the short circuit can happen, right? And yeah, so then you will also do the vibration test. Okay, I mean, depending on the usage of your system, it's very important. So you do the drop test actually, and like that, lot of tests are there. Why, for example, your mobile is dropped from your hand, for example, there should nothing should happen to your mobile phone. I mean, nothing means, so it can break and it can damage. That is one part. Okay, so that also you need to see whether it will damage. Okay, and the most important thing is not that actually, really. Sometimes what happens, if your mobile phone drops, actually it may not work. The reason, many time, the reason could be some connector may come out actually, from the PCBs. So that is a major reason actually. So you need to have a proper connector which has a very good locking mechanism. During vibration test, you will get to know about this actually, because that's very important. It's not that your product is damaging, so it's not working. It's that mainly due to connectors actually. You may select a connector which will not lock properly. Okay, so these things will be tested there. Okay, so once all these things are tested, you're sure that your product is good. Okay, I mean it's reliable and so on. So then you go for I mean your detailed reliability testing. In the reliability testing, you will do the MIMC testing, where you will see the electromagnetic radiations. You will see how much is the radiated emission. Okay, and whether it meets the country requirement. Okay, so because if you have higher emission, that will influence other equipments. A simple reason. Okay, for example, your mobile is emitting high electromagnetic waves, it will affect a person's brain. It's like that actually. Okay, and your if your system is not immune to external interference. Okay, say if power supply noise are coming and if your performance is affected, so that's a problem. So you need to have a good filters and all in your product. Okay, so that will be checked there. And also safety will be tested. Okay, so they will short circuit your system at different places, and all they will see whether the fuses are blowing, or how much your temperature is going up, and whether any electric shock is happening. All of the things will be tested there by these labs. Okay, and then you'll have a environmental testing. They will also check, I mean, you are claiming your system will work at say 20 to 50 degree. They will check your system performance at that both extreme. They will check at 20 degree, they will check at 50 degree, and they will see the performance. Okay, and if everything is okay, I mean your tests are passed, so then the certification companies and your company will go to the government agencies, say like European Union or US or in different countries, for example, submit all the test results. So then they will grant you the marking. For example, European Union, you get a CE marking. Okay, so if you have CE marking, you can ship your manufacture your product and ship it to European countries, for example. Okay, so now you got a certification. Now next stage is a manufacturing. Okay, so in manufacturing you have a lot of steps involved. So one is like you have a purchase engineers, so they will purchase different parts. Okay, any system is made up of different components. Okay, they will get it. Then you have a quality department. They will check the quality of each product. They will look into the test result and so on. Okay, and they will also visually inspect. Sometimes they will also test the components also, depending on type of components. Okay, so once that is done, then it will go to assembly, where the components will be assembled and make a system. Okay, once that is done, then you will go for a detailed testing. So whatever product you do a lot of detailed testing. Okay, you will check the system performance, the voltages, current, and so on. Okay, so once all of them are okay, so then quality department will again check for the test reports and see whether all results are okay and so on. So if everything is okay, so your product will be shipped to customer. Okay, so the customer can be like you are buying a mobile phone, so then you can buy the product directly and you can start using. Okay, but in the uh, but in the case of but in the case of medical system, or high-end big communication base station and other things, you need a the service engineers for installing the product, because customers can't do that. So they will go to service engineers will go for installation on the product. Okay, so once the product is installed, you will go for this thing actually. I mean will monitor the performance actually, depending on type of product. And suppose in the case of vehicle and other things, you have a complaint, you go to service center actually, and for repair. So then the manufacturers will get all this feedback actually on weekly or monthly basis, so that they will look into each of these issues or complaints, because it's very important for them to analyze, because you need to know whether that's a really a design issue, or it can increase the warranty cost and so on. Okay, because all these things will affect your performance and profit, etc., right? So then keep on moving actually. So you have a identified issue, you'll improve it and go on. Okay, so this is a continuous flow like a wheel. Okay, so it's very important actually. In a product company, you have all these things. Okay, So this is a horizontal view of it. You have a concept, so that is all that up to this specification, stage you will have a, concept is there. So then you'll do a feasibility study there. Feasibility study, you may implement the, do a prototyping, and not even prototyping, I would say the concept study you do, you will see whether it is possible to implement. Possible to implement means, two things you have to consider when you say possible to implement. One is, is it possible to implement at a given cost, at a given time to market, both are important. Okay. So then you decide that, then you will define the architecture. Then you have, as I told in before, you have a different circuit design, software design, and so on. Then you do testing, you do a certification at regulatory agencies, labs. Then you manufacture the product. I mean, you sell it and you support the customer. Okay, so it's the design. So I'll quickly talk about PCB design flow. In the PCB design flow, you have a block diagram first. Actually, here, you will once you have architecture, you will design a detailed block diagram where you will identify your components and all. Once that is done, you will draw the circuit actually. So once that is done, circuit is done actually, then you will simulate it actually. So space is typically used for simulation to see whether it is working or not. So once that is done, you go for a PCB layout. Okay, in the PCB layout, the first step is to place the component. As you know now, if you take a mobile phone, you have different type of components there. Like you have image sensor, so that's very sensitive. You have a, say like speaker, and the amplifiers, etc. for audio, and also you have RF circuits, RF modules, and a high-end processor, etc. So you have to place the component in such a way that it will not interfere with each other. Okay, so you need to do a lot of simulation to do that, decide actually that, because you may have to have better shielding, grounding, etc. Okay, so once that is done, you will do the layout. You will connect all the components each other. So again, do you do a simulation there to see whether interference is happening between any of the signals and so on. Okay, if everything is okay, I'll tell about the tools later. You will go for PCB manufacturing. Okay, in the FPGA or IC design flow, in FPGA design flow you have only front end. In IC design flow you have both front end and back end. Okay, so here the first step is to have an architecture. We have to decide what you want to make actually. Okay, what are the building blocks of that? Assume that you want to design a microprocessor. So in a microprocessor, you have a microprocessor core, you have a different type of memories, you have a voltage regulators, you have say different modules like analog to digital converters, or PWM modules and PLLs and so on. Okay, so you identify all of them. So you design it individually, do the RTL design of it. Then you do verify individually. You connect all of them together. You do a detailed verification. It's very important. Once that is done, it will go to physical design. In physical design, what you do is that you I mean in the physical design, you have to identify the type of material you are going to use, the type of technology, and also the PC, the computer, the IC size, for example, and the number of pins, etc. Okay, so once that is done, then you will place all the components. Again, you have to do it, do a simulation, because it's very important for you to know how the components are going to interfere with each other, because it's a problem actually, because you're not able to resolve that issue if you have any interference issue. Okay, so you have to do a detailed check to find that. Then after that, you will connect all of the components. That's where you do the layout. Okay, so once the layout is done, you go for the fabrication. Okay, so there are a lot of companies, all the IT companies work on this IC design, also some part of IC design. Okay, and there are a lot of other companies also in India. Okay, so now I'll tell you about the different type of jobs. How the product is developed. In each stage, you have different type of engineers. You have R&D engineers, you have test engineers, quality engineers, regulatory engineers, etc. Okay, so then you have production engineers and purchase engineers, etc. In the manufacturing, in the manufacturing. Okay.
Hello, sir. You're actually on mute, sir.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm back. Okay, sorry.
Yes, sir. You're
Yeah,
audible.
yeah. So now I'll talk about the the different type of jobs. This is very important for you to know actually, because as I told in the beginning actually. whenever any company hire you, they are not going to decide you, before you join in which department you're going to work at. So it's very important for you to know this thing. Okay. So there are different type of jobs starting from your R&D to sales and marketing. Okay. If you see, most of these type of jobs are there in IT companies also. Say like they have R&D, testing, then quality, regulatory, and so on. Okay. So again, every company decide you to put in any of these type of jobs based on your skill set that is in your resume and the interview. So please understand the thing: when you are recruited, by they are not going to decide in which project or which type of job you are going to, and they are going to put you. Okay. So it all depending on, after joining in any company, you will undergo some training. During that time, they will decide based on the requirement in the projects at that time, and also based on your skill set. Okay. So they will screen your resume again. So it's very important for you to have the right skill set in your resume, and that's also the main reason today I'm here, to explain you on that. Okay. So you need to know different type of jobs, so you can plan accordingly, because yes, in when you are making a product, you have, as I told you, like you have a different functions. You have R&D, you have testing, quality, regulatory, and then application, service, procurement, marketing and sales, manufacturing roles, etc. Right? And everybody won't be interested, in R&D, right? So I mean, you have a lot of opportunities because in India there are a lot of manufacturing companies. So you have a lot of opportunities, to work actually in different type of jobs. Okay. So but again, you have to choose based on your interest, and also you need to understand about different types of job. That is very important. Okay. So the first two type of jobs are called a research job, or it can be a research, or it can be in design and development. So these two jobs are difficult to get, and it's a bit tough also. Really, the reason is that, as you know, like the technology keep on advancing and moving. So you need to always learn, so you can never stop learning. If you want to work in R&D, I mean, you have to always ready to learn, because whatever you are doing now, after a few years the technology will be different, so you need to adapt to that. Okay. So again, to get into this domain, you need to have very good knowledge on the advanced technology, and also you should have very good knowledge on the basic. So I mean, typically to get an R&D job, the interview will be very tough. Okay, I'll tell about that later. Okay. And you need to ready to take the challenges actually in R&D. Okay. So you have to understand this thing. If you are not interested in learning much, this is not a job for you. Okay. And again, as I told in the beginning, if you have MEM Tech, it's very good, because you'll be recruited at senior level actually. So that'll help you also in your career. Okay. To grow. So in research job, what you do some algorithm development, or you do some concept development, or the, say, like protocol development and other things. Okay. So in the design and development, you will do the actual development in a product form. For example, in the research, you may develop a noise cancellation algorithm in audio, but in design and development, you will implement that the algorithm that is implemented by a research engineer, into a DSP or an FEG, or even make an ASIC based on that. Okay. So that's the main difference. But in many companies, this is a combined role actually, both R&D. Okay. So the next is testing role. I mean, you might have heard like a lot of test engineers. So they, what they do is that they will test the modules. They may test a complete product. It can be a software, or it can be combination of both software per hardware, or it can be only hardware, and so on. Okay. So they are also into IC design and like IC verification engineers. Okay. So again, you need to have good technical knowledge. You need to have good programming knowledge. That is important actually, because you have to develop the test protocols, and also you need to have a very good knowledge on I mean, I say the lab view also, because many time you have to develop the automation test setup actually for this. That's very important. Okay. So then you have application engineers. So in your college you have evaluation boards and oscilloscopes, function generators, etc. Right? So whenever you buy any new evaluation board, for example, some engineers will come to your college to give a training on that. Right? I mean, so how to use that board, how to download the software, how to develop a code and compile it, and so on. Right? And debug and so on. Right? So they are called application engineers. Okay. So those who are interested can work there. Then you have a quality and regulatory roles. So they are there in IT companies also, and all electronics product and manufacturing companies. So there are a lot of opportunities for them, because as you know, nowadays quality and regulatory is very, very important. So whenever you design a product, you need to follow certain quality guidelines, and you have to ensure that you are meeting that. Okay. So in quality, you have different roles like design quality engineer, product quality engineer, and supply quality engineer. Okay. So design quality engineer roles are there in all IT companies. Okay. So what they do is that they ensure, because whenever you design any product, you have to follow certain quality guidelines, okay, standards. So you need to you need to have the documents, or the development, based on that pro quality process actually. So you need to have good documentation practice, and you need to have a lot of verification, testing, etc., and as per that quality standards. Okay, so this design quality engineer will work with R&D engineers, and ensure that they follow all these things. Okay, so this is not much technical role. Okay, you have to understand that. And then you have product quality engineer in a factory. Like whenever any part comes, you have to qualify it. You have to see whether the test results are okay, or whether you need to perform any additional test, or physical inspection. All these things will be done by quality engineers. Okay, and also when during the assembly, they will see how the products are assembled, is it assembled properly, and once the product is assembled, whether the testing done properly, etc., and they will do final quality checks actually. So that's called product quality engineer. So their responsibility to ensure whatever product is coming out of the factory meets the quality standards, and also as per both the standards, international standards, also by your company standard actually. Okay, okay, so that's their job. Then you have a supply quality engineer. As you know, any product has a different component, so components are coming from multiple suppliers. Okay, so they have to ensure the quality of all parts that is coming to the factory. So if there are some problem, they'll work with the supplier to identify the problem, and resolve that problem. Okay, so that can be redesigned. Okay, so then they will involve the R&D, and also other teams actually, and to see whether a redesign done is okay or not actually. Okay, so that's their job. So they are also there in product companies or in manufacturing organization. Then you have regulatory jobs, like regulatory engineers and regulatory test engineers. So test engineers job is to do the testing actually, like a EMIMC testing, or safety test, and so on. Okay, then you have regulatory engineers. So whichever product you develop for a different countries and different type of product, you have different regulatory requirements. For example, the radiated emission level for US market is very stringent. Okay, whereas in Asian market it is not so stringent. Okay, so what that means is that whenever you design any product, you need to you need to consider these things actually in your design actually. So for example, if you want to sell a product in US market, you need to have a good design with a good shielding, and good filters, and a better filtering and other things, so that your emission will be less, for example. Okay, so whereas Asian market, it may not be like that. So what they will do is that they will work with R&D engineers, and for ensure that these things are considered in the design, and they do the pre-compliance testing and other things. Okay, so they are there in IT companies also. For example, HCLS EMC testing facility in Chennai. Okay, then you have a supply chain and procurement role. So their job is to purchase the components. Okay, work with supplier, negotiate with them on the pricing, ensure that the parts are coming continuously. Okay, so if you want to work in this domain, it's MBA is good actually. So they are typically electrical or electronics engineers. Okay, so then you have service engineer. Their job is to service the product actually. Okay, so again, you have to understand these type of roles need a um, a lot of travel. So both, it can be a local travel, or it can be international travel actually. Okay, then you have a sales and marketing roles actually. So their job is to sell, sell or market the product. Okay, so again, doing MBA is good. So to be to conclude this, okay, so you decide what you want to do based on your interest. Okay, so I hope you have an idea now. Decide based on your interest, but at the same time, when you're working in R&D, be ready to learn the things. Continuously, you can never stop learning, whether you're a fresher or whether you're 20-year experience. It doesn't matter. Okay, so it's very important. Again, if you want to work in R&D, doing a MTech, ME or MTech is always good. But if you want to work in sales or marketing or procurement, then MBA is good. So what that means is that you want to work in R&D, please don't do MBA. That's not going to add any value there. Okay. Okay, so these are the different type of jobs. Now I'll talk about the expectation and required skills for industry. Okay, so I'll be talking on the technical interviews, and the HR interviews, etc. Okay, so technical interview, they will evaluate your technical skills. In HR interview, they'll evaluate your behavioral skills. I'll tell you all these things. Okay, so first and foremost thing for you, whenever you are trying for a job, either to campus interview or off campus interview, okay, is to have a very good resume. Okay, and your resume should have the right skill set that is needed by an industry. actually. Okay, so the nowadays in all the big companies, the resume screening is done automatically. It's automated actually. So there are no like humans involved really in the resume screening. So all the tools will look into the keywords actually. Keywords are your skill set. They will see whether your resume has the skill set. If yes, it will your resume is screened. Okay, so it's important for you to have the right skill set in your resume. So I'm going to talk about that in the next session later. Okay, and once your resume is screened, what the interviewer is going to look, and you'll have first a technical interview. Okay, so in technical interview, they will do a detailed interview, technical interview on you based on your resume. Okay, so they will ask you a lot about your final year project. So final year project is very important. Okay, so you have to have a detailed study on the project. Okay, so for example, you're using some evaluation board, and also you need to know about the evaluation board also. They will ask you to do the block diagram or maybe circuit diagram, or the algorithm or whatever it is actually. Okay, so that will be done, and then they will also ask you about the skill set and courses whatever you have done actually. In what is written in the resume, they will ask a lot of things actually on that. Okay, so once that is done, you will go to next round. Okay, so depending on the company, you'll have multiple round of interviews, so at least you'll have 2 round minimum. So in the second round, they will ask you about your basics. Okay, so they will ask you the basics that you have studied from your first year onwards. Okay, so that's why basic knowledge is very important. Okay, because that's a foundation. So we'll ask a lot on that actually. Okay, and if you have answered a majority of them, and you will be clearing the technical round. Okay, so then you go to an HR round. So why HR round is very important is that because you have good knowledge, but when you're working in a company, you have to work with the different people from different places, different countries. So you should able to have communicate with them efficiently. So you should have very good communication. You should have very good communication and presentation skills. That's very important. That will be validated during your interview. That is the reason you have a GD. Okay, GD and sometimes psychometric test, and there will be then they need to assess, because in a company you are working as a team. Okay, you're working with different people. Then you need to own the things. Okay, you need to take ownership of whatever task assigned to you. You need to complete it, right? So they'll ask a lot of different type of questions to assess these skills. Okay, then they will check you whether you are flexible. Okay, so here again, students sometimes make a mistake is that they'll be interested in R&D. So as in a product development, you have a design, testing, and so on, right? So you need to do a multi-role multitasking there. Like sometime you will design, sometime you will do testing. Okay, so as part of your development actually, and the requirement of your company at that point. Okay, so they will ask you a lot of questions around that actually. So suppose somebody say like, I'm not interested, I won't do actually, for example. So then they will be rejected automatically, because then you will not fit into that position, for example, in a company actually. Okay, so then also they will ask a lot of questions, indirectly, different type of questions. Okay, to find out how flexible you are in working different time zones, or working overtime and weekends and so on. Okay, so they will assess that. Once you clear that, your HR is done, and you are offered a job. Okay, so what that means is that you have 2 interviews, so you have to clear both technical and HR. Okay, so then only you're going to get a job. To clear a technical interview, you need to have very good, knowledge. I mean, very good fundamental knowledge. It's a must, and also you should have good knowledge, or the skill set that in an industry need actually. That is very important. Okay, and the HR interview, you need to have very good communication, presentation skills. You should be able to present your idea and so on actually. So both are evaluated. Okay, so now I'll tell you really what you need to have in your resume really to get a good job. Okay, in a core domain. So first, I would like to tell you a few things about embedded system. Embedded system is a combination of hardware and software. Okay, so when you say hardware, it's made up of a processor, and DSP and FPGA. Okay, so embedded system is a combination of all. It's not about one technology actually. So if you want to work in embedded software domain, either as a software engineer or hardware engineer, you should know one DSP, processor, and FPGA. This is a must skill you need to have in your resume. Okay, please understand this. It's embedded system is not about a processor alone. Okay, so DSP and FPGAs are also involved, and nowadays most of the design you are using FPGA. So without having knowledge in that, you will not get a job there. Okay, and the second thing is that many times what students will think is that if they want to become embedded software engineer, they need not know electronics. That is absolutely wrong, because we'll ask you a lot of questions about the electronics fundamentals, the ADCs, DSCs, sensors, and so on. The reason is that, as you know, like all the components are non-linear. There are errors in the components. Okay, so due to environmental conditions, the error will be increased. So you need to have some software corrections. You need to have some filters like FAR filters, IR filter, or you need to have a lot of corrections in the software. So to do that, you need to know the hardware. That is the reason we are checking. Okay, so it's a must to know these things. Then you need to know DSP fundamentals. Again, it's a must because you do filtering, and you do a lot of compression and other things. Okay, so that is very important actually. So you need to have these things mandatory. Now I'll talk about the skill set. You need to know one programming language, either C or C++, and MATLAB is must again industry because MATLAB is widely used, in the concept design phase and simulation, etc. So ensure that you have MATLAB in your resume. Then you need to know HDL. It's a compulsory, either VHDL or Verilog, because you are using FPGA and embedded system. Then you need to know RTOS. You need to know the one DSP, one processor, and FPGA. Any of them. Processor ARM is highly preferred because most of the industry use ARM processor. Okay, then protocols you need to know because you have to communicate with the different modules or different sensors using different communication protocols. Okay, they need to know device drivers and programming, kernel programming, etc. Okay, so these are the different positions in industry. Like embedded software engineer, it can be for processor, DSP, or FPGA, or combination, or for drivers, algorithm testing, etc. Some examples. Okay, so then these are the skills that are required for signal and image processing engineers. There are a lot of companies working on this, not only in the medical, in automotive, or in communication, or a lot of domains actually. Okay, so again, DSP algorithms are implemented in a DSP or it in a processor or an FPGA or even a GPU. Okay, so again, if you want to work in this domain, you need to know the architecture of one DSP, one processor, because high-end ARM processors are also used for signal and image processing application. Please understand this. Okay, then you need to know FPGA because FPGA is widely used now in signal processing domain. So you need to know, I have experience in one DSP processor and FPGA. Okay, so then you need to know the fundamentals of DSP, image processing, and mathematics. It's very important. Then you need to know C or C++ plus MATLAB. One HDL is must. RTOS is must. Communication protocol is a must because you are communicating with the different devices in your when you are doing development in a DSP, for example. Again, I'd like to highlight few things here. And this again, quite a highly paid industry. A job. Again, it's always good to work on signal processing actually. So you learn this. I try to and I'm sure that you are learning DSP, FPGAs, and all these things in your process, etc. in your curriculum. So try to implement some programs, and all these things, so that you will learn the hardware also, architecture also. You can get a lot of resource from net and all. Actually. Please ensure to have this in your resume. Okay, so then you will see the real difference. Okay, so there are a lot of jobs there like DSP, image processing engineers, algorithm engineers, testing engineers, image quality. Okay, a lot of opportunities in automotive, all domains, all IT companies work on this. Now A and ML, so the A and ML is used in all the embedded systems. It's used in your refrigerator to washing machine to TV, mobile, everywhere it is used. Okay, so here I would like to tell you a few things. Many students are thinking that it's only for computer science students. It's absolutely wrong. So it is there in every embedded system. So you need to implement it in in a DSP processor and FPGA. So if you want to work in the domain, you need to have a good knowledge on the architecture of DSP processor and FPGA. That's a must. And the second thing is that you need to know the fundamentals of machine learning, AI, and also DSP and image frames, because many time it's used in combination. Okay, of DSP and all. So it's a must to have a good knowledge on DSP. Then you can learn either one of programming, C++ or Python, etc. But MATLAB is again must. So now you know about probability statistics and OS, etc. This is a required skill set. Okay. Again, for an embedded software engineer, you need to know A and ML because it's very important. A and ML engineers are not separate engineers. They are typically like a signal processing engineers or embedded software engineer because you are using A and ML everywhere. Okay. Then for hardware engineer, you need to know good knowledge on the schematic tools like OrCAD and Metagraphics. You need to know how the PCB designs, process, and the guidelines required. You need not know the layout, that is not required. You need to know PSpice. You need to know one HDL and C. It's required because you are developing a hardware. So you need to able to test it actually. So again, you need to know the architecture of DSP, one DSP, one processor, FPGA, and the memories. You need to know communication protocols. You need to know the components starting from your resistor, capacitor, diode to ADCs, op amps, voltage regulators, electromagnetic compatibility. Opportunity wise, you have so many opportunities for hardware engineers, say unlock digital mixed signal and all, RF, FPGA design, signal integrity, reliability, regulatory, wire harness. That's for selecting the wires and cable, etc. in a system. Then electromagnetic compatibility. Okay, so a lot of skill set, opportunities. Okay, at the same time, it's a bit tough also to get there. Okay. So then a VLSI design is a very fast field. So you can be a front end designer or back end designer, layout, verification. So but the skill set is similar. Like you need to have a good knowledge on digital design, analog design, RTL design, signal integrity, semiconductor physics. Need to know the HDLs. Programming language for testing purpose, domain knowledge of communication, wireless, image processing, etc. required. Okay, a lot of opportunities position like IC design, layout verification, physical design, reliability, etc. Okay, so a lot of companies work on this. So with this, I've told you so far, different type of jobs. I mean, and the real skill set that you need to have in core domain in electronics. So that you need to have in your resume to get a job as a fresher, or also when you are already have an offer to get your right project in any IT or a product company. So you need to have them in your resume. At the end, company is looking your resume. Okay, so it's not what you tell, it's what you have written in your resume. Please understand this. So have them in your resume. That's most important thing. Okay, and yeah, now I'll be telling you about the tools and the components that is used in the industry. It's very important for you. The reason is that your finally a project is one of the most important things. So it's very important for you to implement your project in some of the components that is used in industry. Okay, because that's very important. Okay, so as you know, like ARM processor is most popular in industry. You have over 60% of the company use it. And you can see a processor for machine learning, neural networks, cloud, and security, right? So again, I'm repeatedly telling you, if you want to work in AI or ML, artificial intelligence or machine learning, you need to know the hardware, you need to know the processor architecture, then only you're going to able to implement. Okay, so then you have a process from microchip, NXP, TA, and so on actually. Okay, so then ST also, so they also have ARM processors, a different type of processors, controllers, and so on actually. So ARM is most popular one. Okay, so it's better you do project there. Then you have a DSP, so it's from Texas and Analog Devices. So Texas has a high-end DSPs called the C6 series, 6000 series. It's there as a individual, like so only DSP version, or it's in combination with the DSP plus ARM version actually. So it's used in image processing and communication applications. Then you have low end DSP, it's used in control systems, or in speech recognition, or in audio applications. Okay, then you have analog devices, ADCs like ADSP 21 series, Blackfin, Shark, etc. So again, these are used for different applications similar to automotive control systems or in image processing. Out of this, Blackfin is used a lot in automotive companies. Okay, so used for audio processing or speech recognition or navigation and so on. Okay, so you can work one of those. Please work in one of these things. It's very important. So FPGA are from Xilinx and Intel. So you have different type in Xilinx. You have a high-end FPGA 7 series. You have Kindex series. So then you have like a Spartan series, which is bit low end. Okay, and then you have SoC. It's called a system on chip. It's a combination of FPGA plus ARM processor with even GPU. You can see it's also used in every applications. So if you want to work as embedded software engineer, FPGA is a must in your resume. Okay, like a DSPs. Okay, so again, this is an example of accelerator platform. It's based on ARM processor and programmable engine with the AI engine, etc. So it's used in supercomputers or base stations, etc. And you can see again FPGA from Intel Ultra. So they have FPGAs or ARM system on chip. It's like this one. So this is with FPGA and ARM processor. Okay, then this is a block diagram of IoT. So IoT has different components. So you have sensors. So then you have some signal chain that's called signal conditioning circuits. You have amplifiers, filters. Then you have a processor or a microprocessor, or you have a power management, mainly battery based circuits. Okay, and then you have communication protocols and communication modules, right? Okay, in your system. So to work in IoT domain, you need to know both hardware and software. What you need to know, I'll tell you. You need to know about sensors, you need to know about the amplifiers and the errors and other things. You need to know signal processing, because you have to do some filtering. Okay, and you need to know again signal processing. The reason is for whenever you are transferring data, you need to compress and transfer, so that you can reduce the power consumption. Okay, so you need to know the processor architecture to implement a code, efficient code, so that you can reduce your power consumption. Okay, so knowing the programming language will not get a job in IoT. Please understand, IoT is in every application, from industry to automation, everywhere, robotic, everywhere it is used. So to work in a IoT domain, you need to know both hardware and software. Okay, so you need to know DSP fundamentals, communication, all of them. So if it's in router, you have a processors, and then in a cloud you have a high-end processors. Okay, so use a different protocols there, like Zigbee, Bluetooth, and so on, or Wi-Fi, different protocols. It's an example of I mean, HP server, that is used actually, in the cloud. So it's based on DSP, front Texas Instrument. Okay. So again, in a machine learning, you are using, you can use a processor. So it's an ARM processor from TI. So it's used for typically, for object detection or classification or segmentation, etc. Yeah. Again, I'm telling you, I mean, all in embedded system, you are using AI and ML. Okay, so to work on that AI and ML, I mean, and that type of application, you need to know the processor architecture. Then only you can do. Okay. So again, FPGAs are also used in AI and ML. So again, you need to know the FPGA architecture. Then only you are able to, implement. Okay. So now I'll tell you about the schematic capture, circuit simulation, or layout tools you have from Cadence and Metagraphics. So both are popular actually. So it's important for you to know this. So if this is only for people who want to work in hardware designer. So you can get the evaluation version of these tools from a website of Cadence or Metagraphics, etc. So the schematic capture tools are for drawing the schematic. You have layout tools for designing the layout. You have simulation tools for piece circuit simulation called P.S.R. So I'm sure you'll be learning that in engineering. Then you have a layout simulation tools like signal integrity to see how the component placement in effect, and also the signal integrity check each signal. Again, you have Metagraphics. Okay, you can learn one of them. Okay, both are not required. So again, they have a hyperlink simulation tool, so it's very good. So it's used for layout simulation, signal integrity check, also thermal simulation. It's important for you to know how much your PCB is going to get hot actually during the operation. So that then you can define the heat sink and other things. It's very important. Okay, then you have PG design tools from Xilinx or Intel. You can get it from their website. You have Model Sim. Okay, so then IC design, you have a Cadence and Synopsys tools actually. So I mean, this is important for you to know if you are going into this domain. So as I told in the beginning, for an embedded software engineer, signal processing or ML, anything you go, or IoT, anything you want to go, you need to know MATLAB. It's a must. It's used in not only in signal processing, it's for AI. It's used for power electronics, the wireless communication. It's used for robotics. It's used for automotive, image processing, IoT, everywhere. It's even used for embedded development also. Then you have nowadays a lot of model design are also happening in industry. So Simulink is used there. Okay, so lab is used mainly for testing, protocol development, actually automation, setup development. So if you are interested in testing, you can learn. It's also used for FPGA development. Okay, so with this I've told you the skill set that you need to have. What are the tools used in industry? Yeah? So when I'm saying the tools used in industry, it's across the globe. I mean, of any type of industry, I'm telling. Okay, not only in automotive or anything, every type of industry, wherever you go, power electronics. Okay, even if you go for a transformer design, some companies design the transformers. Even they do MATLAB, for a lot of simulations actually, and other things. Okay. So you need to know all of the things. Now I'll tell you how to enhance your career prospects. As I told you, you need to do a lot of projects on the industrial level platform. Please do mini projects in one DSP processor FPGA. Please ensure you have that in your resume. Okay, it's a must. Then doing MEM Tech will help you in R&D type of jobs. Then you can do a lot of courses. I'll tell you that now. Okay, so yeah, then you can do project in industry that will help you to get a job, and the internship will also help you to get a job, and it will also help you in a lot of other ways. I'll tell you that later. Then paper publication is also very important. Okay, so try to have at least one paper published in reputed journals. Okay, companies also value a lot that. Then networking with seniors or industry people will help you to understand the requirement in industry. Okay, so I'll tell you why internship is important, because you are studying a lot of subjects in your engineering. Okay, when you don't do an internship, you will not know, like, what are the application of these things in industry, and how industry uses these theory subjects that you have studied. Okay, so when you do an internship, you will understand all these things. Okay, and another problem is that whenever you're during engineering, many times you'll not be clear like what you want to do or after your engineering, because you are not aware, like, because sometime you will do something and then you will find interest in that. Okay, so when you do internship, you get an opportunity to work on something, so that will help you to choose your career path. Okay, so that will then whenever you do internship, these companies, there are a lot of people actually, right? So you have to communicate with them. Okay, so this will help you to improve your communication and presentation skills, and that will again help you in your interview, HR interview and all. Okay, and the other point is that whenever you have internship experience, your knowledge will also improve actually. So that will help you in your interviews. Okay, all the company give a good value on your internship actually. I mean, while hiring. Okay, and but the other advantages that you are going to get is that you will broaden your knowledge and experience there. Okay, and you can do after third semester onwards, you can try it in any small companies, government companies, and so on. You can do internship even in service companies also. Anywhere you can do. Service means I mean to say a TV repair shop, for example, because that's again a good opportunity for you to learn, how they are identifying the problems and so on. That will help you, when you're designing any product. Okay. So you can do a lot of specialized course on embedded system, IoT, VLSI, DSP, hardware design, and so on. Okay, I'll tell you quickly about that. So embedded system, lot of institute offer the courses. So they'll teach on embedded process, C, RTOS, etc. CDAC offer, and you can find lot in Tamil Nadu actually. I mean different place. So I focus few of them. Okay. Even CDAC offer course in IoT. So they'll teach you on IoT protocols, wireless technologies, processor, and other things. Okay. So there are a lot of institute in Bangalore or in Chennai or even Coimbatore and all, for example. Okay, so a VLSI design is a very fast field. You have a different type of jobs there, like front and back and layout and all. So they will teach you on digital design, RTL design, and so on. So there are a lot of institutes in Bangalore. CDAC also offer. I mean, many in Bangalore and Chennai also you can find. So okay, you can select the courses based on your interest. Okay, so DSP and image processing, like they will teach you on DSP, image processing, and DSP process, etc. MATLAB and all. So there are many institute in Bangalore. Okay, so you can try there if you are interested. Then A and ML again, CDAC offer the course, and there are many more you can find in Chennai or in Bangalore. Okay, so they'll teach on A, ML, and so on. So again, as I told you in the beginning, you need to learn embedded actually if you want to work in this domain. So in electronics hardware design, there are courses by NLT in Calicut or in CDAC, etc. So they'll teach you on how to design a hardware product actually, circuit design and other things. Okay. So in EMC, you can again do a short-term courses. Short-term means, I would say it's like 2 or 3 days. Somewhere in Chennai offers, or if you want to be in hardware domain, it's good to learn. Or CET offer it. Okay. So and now like there are a lot of way you can do online courses. I would like to tell you a few things here. The advantage of disadvantage of online courses. Okay, many times students are doing only for getting certifications. Your certificate is not having any value in industry. Please understand. The value will come only when you do some practical implementation of whatever you learn online. Just you have a 10 certificate, no company will give you any value to it. So you can do courses from Coursera or EDX or NPTEL, everything. Okay, but whatever whenever you do a course, they will give an assignment. Okay, so you may do some programming in MATLAB or C or Python, etc. But okay, what you need to do really is that you'll do that, learn that. Okay, and when you go back to your college, please implement the same thing in the DSP or processor and FPGA. That way you'll have a real practical implementation, and once you add that in your resume will have very high value actually. Okay, so you'll have very high chance of getting job. Okay, and there are you can also do a lot of courses, not courses I would say, like some online videos or webinars, etc., from Texas into mathematics and all of them. Okay, and again I'm telling you, if you want to work in embedded software domain or in DSP domain, it's always good to do signal processing, DSP, or machine learning, RA and IoT. It's required. And please ensure that it's very important for you to know AI, ML, and IoT. It's a compulsory. So you can do 1 hour, 1 or 2 online courses every semester actually. Please ensure that you do this actually, because you want to work in embedded systems or you want to work in signal processing, you need to know AI, ML, and IoT. Same way, if you want to work in signal processing, you need to know about AI and ML because you use these algorithms. So please use this opportunity, but only never do it for getting certificates, because as I told you, your certification is not high much value. They will ask you for the implementation, what you have done the practical. Okay, so that is only going to help you actually for you. So please do it for that actually. Okay, use the evaluation board that you have in your college. Now I'll tell you, how you can learn yourself. You can buy some of the evaluation boards yourself, or you can use it for your project also. I mean, Raspberry Pi is a good board. It's ARM based board. You can have a DSP board from TI as like 55 series or 67, or even Blackfin boards actually from unlocked devices, or FPGA board you can buy from Xilinx or Intel. I mean, I've shown you only Xilinx Sync series system on chip, or normal FPGA. Okay, so now I'll tell you, you need to, as I told you in the beginning, you need to know the hardware, electronic circuits, and other things also if you want to work in software. So you need to learn these subjects for your interviews. Again, if you want to go in VLSI and hardware, you need to focus more on electronics and electromagnetics and so on. Okay, so with this, and I'll conclude now. I mean, so like first and foremost thing for you is to have a very good resume. Okay, your resume should have all the skill set that is needed by industry, which I've told you clearly. Okay, highlight your projects, the internship, paper published, online coursing. Course I'm telling you again, you need to have a real hardware implementation of it. I mean, then only it is going to add value. Okay, never do it for certification purpose alone. Okay, you need to have very good covering letter. Covering letter should show your objective and your skill set in a brief, actually in few lines. It's very important. And second thing is the most important. You see, nowadays most of the hiring happens through LinkedIn, and most of the companies will put their off-campus interviews in LinkedIn. So it's good to follow these companies and connect with the HR managers. And most important thing, what a fresher is making mistake is that they are always telling that there is no job in core industry. It is not true, because you are not trying, actually you're not searching, and none of the companies will put vacancies for freshers or less experienced people like 1 or 2 years in their website. So you can send your resume directly. You find the companies. There are at least over 2000 companies working in core domain in India. Okay, so you don't have anything to worry. Only you have to search in Google to find those. Okay, you can register in job sites. Always learn. If you are getting a job through campus interview, never stop learning. That's the biggest mistake you'll be making in your career. Keep on learning on the latest things, technologies. And also, if you're if you're into, if you want to go in R&D, it's always good to do MEM Tech. Okay, now I'll tell you about a company, how a company looks like. It's like a product company. You take a Pricol or Bosch or anything, it's like this. Okay, they will have a business leader who will look for the company or organization. You will have R&D, quality, factory, and different departments. In R&D, if you see, like it will be managed by R&D head. You will have a project manager, they will manage the projects. You will have engineering manager, he will manage the engineering team, so they will be designing the products. You will have quality and regulatory team. Okay, so they will be doing the quality and regulatory part of the job. Okay, these are the position for the freshers in R&D. As I told you earlier, you are, once you have an offer, your job is not defined. They can put you as a test engineer or a quality engineer or a purchase engineer or anything, actually. Okay, and there is no guarantee that they will put you in R&D. Everything will be depending on your skill set in your resume. When they are doing a campus interview, they are not doing only for you. They are interviewing tens of thousands of students across India. Okay, so they will generally see whether you have the right skill set, how good you are, how your learning capability, analytical thinking, and other things. Okay, so once you they identify that, so typically, it's possible that you can learn and do the work. Okay, so that's the reason they are doing that way. So it's important for you to decide what you want to do, learn the skills that you need to have for that, actually, which I've already explained to you for R&D. So again, there's a career path. You can go as a architect or in anything in an individual role. It's up to you. If you want a pure technical role, there is nothing to do with the title of your career growth. It's your what work you do, and everything, salary, everything begin growth based on that. Okay, or you can become an engineering manager or project manager if you're interested. Okay, but again, everything you can decide after you become a tech lead. That is again after 5 or 8 years of your experience. Okay, so if you want to go as a manager role, it's okay to do MBA. So you can do executive MBA when you have 5 or 8 years of experience. Okay, at least after 5 years of experience, most of the companies sponsor. You can do that. Pure technical, you have a lot of opportunities to grow. But again, when you want to be an architect, you should ready to learn. You should have very good fundamental knowledge, and you should learn multiple things and do that, actually, because these are very challenging roles. Okay, so in a factory, you have different roles. For example, you get a job in Ashok Leyland. Ashok Leyland do embedded system development. Okay, so they have embedded R&D, for example, in Chennai. Okay, so they do hardware design, software design, everything they do. But assume that they hire you. Okay, Ashok Leyland. If you're not good in R&D, they'll put you in their factory, maybe in Hosur or somewhere. Okay, so you can be a production engineer and anything. So you don't have any choice. It's your skill set that is going to decide. Please understand this. And quality and regulatory, as I told you, like you need a lot of marking like CEU and right to ship your product anywhere. So you have a lot of roles there, like design, quality, regulatory, and other things. Okay, so these are for freshers. All these companies put you in that role also. Okay, with this I've completed my session now, so we can go for Q&A. You can ask me or you can type, actually, anything you want to know about, from higher education to job to interview, anything you want to know, you can ask, from in electronics or electrical related activities. Okay, you feel free to ask. Okay, so with this, I've concluded. I gave an overview. Like first is that you decide what you want to do. Okay, what's your field? Then learn the things that is required, which I've told you, actually, for each of this domain. Okay, and there are a lot of companies. Don't say there are no companies. There are thousands of companies in India working in a core domain. Okay, so it's you have to try, and none of these companies will put their requirement in their website for a fresher. Please understand this thing. Okay, so many time what people think is that off campus is not difficult. This thing, it's you have to search. You will find thousands of them, actually. You go to Coimbatore or you go to Chennai, or anywhere, even go to Hosur, you can find a lot of companies, or in Bangalore, anywhere. So it's you have to decide. You have to search and find job, and no company will put that we are openings for freshers. Okay, so you can send your resume, and you may get a call, actually, based on your resume skill set that you have in your resume. Okay, so it's important for you to know that actually keep on trying, actually. I'm sure you're going to get. And the current situation will slightly impact your campus interviews, because most of the companies will hire less people. Okay, but you can try off campus. Okay, so you feel free to ask questions now, anything, actually. from your project to academics, anything. Okay. Hello. I hope you can hear me, right?
Yes, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you very
Okay.
much, sir.
Yeah.
It's been a wonderful session, and even our students getting a lot of insights towards the career options and whatever the career opportunities available exactly in the industry and academia.
Yeah.
And I really thank you very much for this wonderful session, sir. And students, is there any queries? You can feel free to ask.
Yeah, we can have another maybe 30-minute Q&A session, because so it's important to know that the different roles, as I told you, if you're not interested technical, you have a lot of other roles in industry. Okay. So without these roles, you cannot make a product, right? I mean, you need a sales engineer to sell a product, whatever you do, right? You need a manufacturing engineers or production engineer to manufacture a product. So you have to decide based on your knowledge, based on your interest. So you have to choose. So if you are weak in something, or you are sure that you are not good in R&D, please don't try in R&D, because it's very difficult. you know Getting a job is the first step, but surviving in industry is the most important thing. So you need to have the right skill set really to survey. So you can be a production engineer. There are a lot of people opt for that, even from top institutes also. It's the interest. So it's opportunities are there, whether it is in a COVID or non-COVID situation. There are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of manufacturing companies coming into India, so you could try in any of them.
And the students kindly, raise
Feel
your hand,
Yeah,
then we
yeah.
will unmute you.
Yeah. Please ask, or you can type actually, no problem. So you need to know, because this session is only for you actually at the end. So one is to make you aware like what you need to have in your resume to get a job in core R&D domains. Okay, that's one. And the second thing is to tell you about different type of jobs actually. That also you need to know, because many times students are not aware. Okay. So even Coimbatore you take, you have Pricol, in Madurai you take, you have Honeywell and so on. Like lot actually, even in Tamil Nadu. Actually in Chennai and all, you have hundreds of companies, Chennai, or around that area actually.
Students, kindly raise your hand, then we will unmute you.
Yeah, please feel free to ask, because you should know actually, because it's for you actually. So it's important for you to know actually. If you want to go for higher education, still you need to know a lot of things, right? Anything actually on project, when you are in a final year project, you need to implement it in this actually, because your final project is one of the most important thing in your resume. So please feel free to ask. You can type actually, so I will answer. That will be even more easier for you. You can just type anything, whatever you want to know, so I'll answer each of them. Okay. Don't hesitate. It's important for you to know, because otherwise I mean, it's not going to add much value in you, right? Because if you have any doubts on the resume, I mean, how the resume should like, or an interview, or anything actually, or a project, or any course, whatever you want to, or anything. So there are a lot of opportunities in different domains. Okay. So again, to R&D job is not very easy. Yeah, please understand, because the interview is also tough, and also you have to always learn actually, because things keep on changing. Whereas in production or other domain, the getting the job is not difficult, and it's not so, I mean, difficult to work in that domain actually, because you need to manage a lot of people and all. So a lot of people are there, for example. That also, you have thousands of factories in India, right? You have a a lot of roles for electronics engineers actually.
Shall I?
Yes, please feel free to ask. Okay. Final year project, I'll tell you. First what you need to do is that you decide your field of interest. That is the first thing you need to do. Okay. So assume that you want to work in say signal processing or in image processing. What you first need to do is that you search for, do a literature survey. Okay, like find a lot of latest IEEE papers of like last 2 years or so. You can find it from IEEE site, and then you can get the PDF version, say like ResearchGate or other sites are there. Okay, identify that. First you identify a topic based on your interest. Okay, and then what you do next step is that you have to consult with your professor to choose the right one out of that topics that you have selected. Okay, and the third thing what you need to do, that is where it's very important actually. You have to select the right platform to implement it. So you can implement a signal processing project in a DSP or an FPGA, for example. You select that actually, whichever you want to do, or whichever is available in your college. Okay, or whichever you can learn actually in the given project timeline. Okay, so you select that, and then use some of the additional techniques there, like what you could do is that you use some of the A or ML techniques there, because that's very important for you to have in your project. Okay, because your project should be very attractive to the company whomever is interviewing you, because as you know, A or ML is used in every application. So have some of them in your project. Okay, and if it is having some sensors and other thing, you can use different communication protocols like I2C SPA. Maybe you can use some Wi-Fi transfer. You can transfer signal or image through that, and so on actually, something like that. You do use a combination of technology. Select a topic, but you ensure you look into IEEE and don't look into the local journals, where IEEE you get really good papers, because that's very important. I mean, then find a real the topic in consultation with your professor, finalize the topic. Okay, select a platform. Okay, so that is either a DSP or an FPGA or a processor. Okay, use different protocols and other things, then use some A or ML techniques. Please ensure you have this A or ML in your project. Okay, so you will get a lot of example from net, so there is nothing for you to worry really. Okay.
Yes, sir. There is a question from Priyanka.
Yeah.
Um, can you give some ideas for final year project, sir?
No,
Yes.
no, no. That's what I told her, sir. If she's interested, she can, do a project in signal processing or in image processing or anything she can do. So she has to decide first what she want to do. I mean, you can do a signal processing project actually. Okay. I mean, so you can select a sir actually. That's what What you need to do is that you have to identify. You want to work in communication domain, or you want to work on something on power electronics, or you want to do some control systems. It's something you have to decide at higher level. Okay, this is your field. Then you have to look for the papers. Okay, in that domain in IEEE journals actually. You can search for in Google like IEEE. You can search, get those papers, because that's important. Then you need to consult with your professors to finalize, because he also should say that this project is equivalent to B standard, right? Because that's very important actually. Sometimes some project won't be equal to engineering degree standard, right? So something like that. So you have to select. Told you, if you're interested in signal processing, you can do signal processing. Okay.
And
But
one more question:
yeah,
is MATLAB
uh,
very
yes,
important for getting job in embedded systems?
yes, it is important actually, because you need to have it in your resume. That's what, and it is not difficult for you to learn now. See, you want to work in R&D, you should be ready to learn, because tomorrow the company may ask you to learn something else actually. If you want to work in embedded system as a software engineer, you need to know MATLAB, you need to know HDL, VHDL or Verilog. That is compulsory. Okay, it's a must actually, because without that you won't be able to survive in an industry. I'm telling you, assume you got a job, okay, in pre-call for example. Okay, they work on DSPs or FPGAs. Okay, so only C. Okay, and they will ask you in your next project to do a okay, do develop the software in FPGA. So if you don't know MATLAB, you will not able to complete the project on time, and that is going to affect your career, because in every company the project timeline is very important. So that's what that is the reason I'm telling you today. We learn these things, okay, because I'm working in industry, I interview a lot of people. I know what is the job requirement around. So that's why I'm telling you, learn the things actually. It's not difficult for you to learn. It need a few months hard work actually. You can learn. You have a lot of online videos available for you to learn, YouTube and everything, free tools available. Please use it and learn it actually. Okay. Yes, MATLAB is compulsory. It's a must actually. You can learn it actually. It's not difficult. Nothing is difficult. You see, if you want to work in R&D in embedded system, you need to learn. There is no way, no shortcut, for success. Because it's as simple as that. You need to know HDL also, not only MATLAB. In ISRO and DRDO, yes, I think they conduct exam, and also they will look into your gate score. So you need to have a good gate score. That's required to get in ISRO or DRDO or Bharat Electronics Limited or anywhere of that type of company. Okay, I hope that answer you. Why MATLAB is compulsory is that in your embedded system, you are doing a lot of proof of concept and the simulation, and all other develop algorithm development. So that will be done first in MATLAB. Okay, anyway, you assume that you are joining in a company in Bosch, for example, in Coimbatore. Okay, Bosch work on automotive, and so your first project is algorithm. They will tell you to develop an algorithm. So they'll ask you to develop in MATLAB. Okay, and if you don't know MATLAB and you are going in a company, and nobody is there to teach you. So you have to learn yourself, and you will not have a time to learn and complete the project on time. That's why I'm telling you to learn that now, not after getting a job. After getting a job, then you'll be in deep trouble actually, because it's not so easy for you to complete in that particular time. In a company, there is a evaluation twice in a year. They will look how your performance, both on whether are you completing the project on time, because time to market, that's the most important thing. Okay, and then your other aspects actually behavioral aspects. Okay, testing engineer, I know testing engineer's job is to test your product, so it can be a testing a module, or it can be testing an IC, or it can be a testing the complete system. Okay, so typically you need to have a good knowledge actually, depending on which type. If you want to go in IC design, then IC verification engineer, you need to have very good knowledge on semiconductors. Or if you generally want to be a test engineer in any embedded system or an electronic system, you need to have a generally good knowledge on electronics, and then you need to have good programming skills actually, like a C, C++, etc. And also MATLAB, and also LabVIEW is required, because you may have to deal by automation environment. The reason why I'm telling you is that your job and the project in companies keep on changing. So today you work on a DSP, tomorrow your project may be on an FPGA. So you should be ready to do that. No, no, no. Basics is fine actually. See, you should able to do a basic coding in MATLAB. That is good enough actually. You need to know the basic actually. See, you can't be a master in everything, right? Means once you do a lot of things, then only you become a master in that, right? So you do some simple programs, you should know how to use MATLAB, how to develop some programs, develop some algorithms. You could try that actually, and that's good enough actually. Okay. I'm sure that your college will have MATLAB and all actually, because you're studying signal processing, right? So you love MATLAB definitely. Okay. See, there are the thousands of companies in Indian embedded system. Thousands of companies. Stating, your I mean, companies like say Pricol to Bosch to Honeywell, you name anything actually. There are a lot of small companies. There are thousands of them in India. Okay, you Google it, you will get actually. So there are a lot of jobs. It's you have to find actually. Then no, the companies are not going to put the advertisement saying that we are opening for freshers or experience engineers with 1 or 2 experience. Nobody is going to put. That's what I'm telling you. You have to find a company. Keep on trying actually. You will get job. So that's the way. Like you Google it. So it's very easy now, right? But you need to have the right skill set. You need to have it in your resume. Then only they are going to call you for interview. Okay. Decide your domain, and learn the things. Suppose you want to go in IC domain, then the skills are required different. Okay, if you want to go in signal processing, yeah, you need to have very good fundamentals on signal processing and other things, right? Something like that. Embedded system, again, you need to have a good knowledge on signal processing and IoTs and machine learning, all of them actually. That way actually. So decide actually. And that is what I told you. You need to have a proper career planning. Yeah, that will help you to choose your field, because in interview this question will be asked: what is your objective, where you will be in next 3 5 years, 3 to 5 years and all. They will ask the question. So you can't say like I want to work on hardware and software. You cannot say, don't say the word embedded system. You have to say I want to work as an embedded software engineer or a hardware engineer. You need to define that. When you say embedded system, it's a combination of hardware and software. You can't work on both. Please understand this thing. Yeah, because you can't work on both, and no company will let you to work on both actually. I mean, you start with but you can do both, but in long term it is not possible. Okay. No, in embedded system I'm telling you, you want to get a job as embedded software engineer, you need to know the VHDL, you need to know programming language either C or C++, you need to know MATLAB, you need to have good knowledge on DSPs, you need to know good knowledge on electronics, and you need to know good knowledge on DSP processor and FPGA. Without that you will not get job there. It's as simple as that. Okay, in embedded system, you have two type of job. One is a software engineer or a hardware engineer. Hardware engineer, again, you need to have the knowledge on this architecture. Okay, if you want to become a hardware engineer, you need to know MATLAB. That is not required. Then you need to have good fundamentals on the electronics components and other things actually. Okay, so you decide whether you want to become a software or hardware. Okay, if you want to become a software hardware engineer, please don't not need to learn actually MATLAB. That is not required. Okay. You see, power electronics engineers is again part of embedded system. Huh? Because you are UPS or in any high power system, that's again an embedded one system, right? So it has both hardware and the software. Even your UPS or inverter you take, you have both the software and hardware, right? Okay. Okay. Hardware it is not required MATLAB, but you need to know VHDL. That is required. VHDL Verilog is required. Why I'm telling is that you are not sure, or that company you are not sure in which company you are going to join. So almost every company uses different components. So your project keep on changing. As a fresher, you'll be under tremendous pressure when you join in R&D. So that's what I'm telling you. Learn the things from now. In a company, nobody is going to teach you. So you have the basic knowledge now, so you can develop. Otherwise, you don't know anything and you go join in a company and you learn and do the projects, you will not able to complete on time actually. Okay, so that's what I'm telling you. I mean, I'm here today to make you understand that, and so that you'll be ready. You are prepared for it, right? So I mean, that is my point actually. learn the things. So I'm sure actually, Okay. So decide what you want to do, and that's what your career planning is important. And don't think that you can do both work. I mean, you cannot be master of both. Like it's like I mean, putting one leg on one boat and putting in another boat. No, so you can't walk right in that way, right? So you decide what you want to do and focus on that. What in that domain. So that's the best way to do. Always you do that actually, because so your interview also will be easy because you are telling that I want to work in this domain. Then you ask question on that only actually. So you can clear the interview also easily. Yeah? Otherwise they will ask you both the hardware and software, and then you'll be in trouble actually. you know so that's the point. Okay, so any more questions on anything on higher studies or in projects or any other job, not only R&D, I would say manufacturing or anything. So electrical, electronics, all of them can work in manufacturing, quality, all of the domains.
Yes, sir.
Keep up to date on technology, at the same time have a good knowledge on the basics. I mean, the whatever skill set in your resume, that is going to get an interview call. Okay, but the knowledge on that plus the basic is going to get a job. Okay, so please understand that. In addition to that, you need to have a good communication and presentation skills in English. That's very important. That is also many time what happens is that
Yes, sir.
technically students get cleared, but in HR they fail actually. So both are equally important because you should able.
Actually,
Yeah.
actually, for our final year students, they are getting to final year students and current final year students. So, what are all the things they have to learn for clearing technical parts, sir?
No, no, that's what I told you, sir. The first thing is that they need to have a very good knowledge on the basics. That is must. If you are going in a hardware, you need to know about the components, different properties of resistor, capacitor, whatever they study from first year. That's very important. Every interviewer can ask any questions, because we know the syllabus. We are going to ask any questions because we
Okay.
have to see how good you are in your basics actually. Okay, that is very important. Then you need to know the latest things also actually. That again depend required actually because you need to be up to date. Say when you say you are want to be a better software engineer, okay, so you're doing something, but you need to use like A or ML techniques, right? So you need to know fundamentals of that. That's why I'm telling you they can do online. Now you have a lot of resource, you have free videos. Nobody's asking your certificate. You can watch a lot of free YouTube videos and develop some projects in that actually that way. So you have to put effort, sir, actually. Then only you work hard, then only you can reach somewhere, right? I
And
mean without, yeah, without that
whether
nothing.
internships will help people to get a job, sir.
In
From third year onwards, if the students make internship in electronic domain, especially with the industry,
No,
is it
it will help, sir. But again, I'm telling you, if you have internship or no internship, also companies are going to have a same interview. Okay, so you do internship, but if your basics are not good, you are not going to select. That is what we are
okay?
checking. You are from IIT MTech also. If you don't have a good basics, you will reject straight away.
Okay.
I mean, so your IIT brand name or that will not help you there actually. In that sense, I'm telling. Okay, only you get an opportunity. You have such a degrees, you get a lot of interview calls. But then it's an interviewer who decide actually. They will check on the basics. So that's what I'm telling you. They should focus on the basics. That's the most important thing. You need to know,
Yes.
but they will ask you to draw internal block diagram of an op amp. They may ask you to draw block diagram of a motor, different type of motor, how you're going to control. Okay, draw a circuit and calculate the current and voltage, right? A lot of things they could ask actually. That's what I'm telling you. You need to study that actually. That's very important. And there are, as I told you, sir, there are thousands of companies. Students can try off campus. That's why I'm telling you. Then they should really search in Google and find the companies. You put a lot of effort. I'm sure that everybody will get job actually. But most of the time, students are not doing, and they want everything ready made. So that is the biggest disadvantage actually. I mean,
Okay.
and you can't say like there is no job. There are so much job actually.
There is a
Uh,
question
In an
from Mr.
embedded C is required actually. It's a compulsory actually because you use a C or C++. If you want to be an embedded software engineer, I'm telling you, you don't say the embedded field. You have to clearly say embedded software or hardware. When you say embedded field or embedded system, it's a combination of hardware and software. So if you want to be a hardware engineer, it's good to know actually, but it's not so mandatory actually. Suppose you are good in a circuit design and other thing, but if you don't know C, companies will recruit you actually, no problem. But if you want to be embedded software engineer, you should know C. That is a must actually. It's a compulsory skill actually because anyway you are studying C in engineering, right? So there is nothing extra you need to learn actually. That just to, refresh your basics there actually. That's good enough. Okay. I hope that is. See, you define what you want to do. Huh? I mean, don't say like embedded system. You have to say like I want to be embedded software engineer or hardware engineer. You have to be very clear on that, because many time students will write in objective, I want to work in embedded system, because then interviewer himself will get confused actually. What to ask, because see, we are interviewing a person based on his interest, okay, and in which domain he want to go. Because in every company working on both the domain, right, software and hardware. So we want to see whether the person is interested. If he's interested, we will have to assess him how good he is in that. That is the thing. So it's, you have to be very specific to that. Okay, that's what I'm telling you repeatedly. You should have a clear objective. You are the decision maker of your future. Okay, you need to know what you want to do, and your interview will be purely based on that. Okay, so if you say embedded software, then the question will be on embedded software. Okay, it's very clear, because in your objective, in your resume itself, it should have that clearly. Okay, so please don't say like you want to work in embedded field or embedded system. That is not right, because it's a combination of both. So you have to be very specific. Again, signal processing is part of your embedded system. So if you want to work in that, okay, I mean, I like to work on the signal processing or image processing, okay, something like that. Then the question will be more on that, the algorithms and other things, and also the mathematics and other things. Okay, so be very specific actually. Okay, I hope that answer your question.
Yes, sir. And students, we are
Feel free.
nearing to the, yeah, we are nearing to the last part. And kindly know if you are having real queries in your mind, this session will be open for all.
Yeah, feel free to ask actually, because I'm okay actually, because at the end of the day, students need to find. I mean, I'm telling you, you need not worry about current COVID situation. There are a lot of recruitment happens. Campus interview might get impacted. They may not recruit more, but there are off campus where you could try. Actually, you search in Google, you'll find hundreds of companies. You have to just search actually. You'll get hundreds of companies. There are a lot of small companies. You can join them, gain some good experience, work there for 2 years. Don't look for the salary alone as a fresher. Gain some good experience. You'll get a good job in big companies where they'll pay you nice, okay, based on your skills and expertise actually. Okay, don't worry that I mean, I'm not getting a good salary as a fresher. Never look into that. Okay, only worry when you're not doing a good work actually. Okay, but at the end of the day, it's your work, and that is going to help in you to grow in your career. Okay, so there are hundreds of companies. You go anywhere in Bangalore or in Chennai or in Coimbatore or in different part. I mean, you can find in Google. It's so easy. That's what I'm telling you. And I mean, it's very easy. Your net is cheap. You have a mobile phone. Where everything you can find, right? Not like 20 years back. When I was searching actually. At that time it was difficult even. Even many companies are not having website itself at that point in time. Now you have everything. There are a lot of companies. Okay. So nothing to worry on current situation, and nothing to worry even on campus interviews, that you're going to get job. You have the right skill set, and you keep on trying. Then you will get a job. Always to look for a good job. I mean, based on your interest. So you want to work in software, work on that hardware, or in different domain like production, quality, sales, marketing. You decide based on your interests. Okay. And you have to be very clear on your this objective in your interview, because it's the most important thing in the interview. Because you can't just say like I'm okay to work this, I'm okay to work that. If you're interested in work that, I told you really what you want to have in your resume. Okay, any more questions? Feel free to ask.
And this will be the mandate skill. You
Yeah,
have
it
to
is.
be open.
Yeah, you
It's
should have this skill
a
set.
skill.
The reason is that why I'm telling you is that when you're joining in a company, you have to perform. Okay, so you are studying all these things. Whatever skill set shown in your resume, you are studying all of them. You are studying FPGAs, right? You are studying HDL, right? I mean, you are studying DSPs, FPGAs, and everything. Only you need to do some projects, learn that in more detail. Actually, that much only asking, nothing more. Yeah, that is what industry is also expecting, right? So these skill set you need, whether you work in US or in anywhere in Europe or in Japan or anywhere, you need the same. There's no difference. And whoever is having this, they're getting the offers. It's as simple as that actually. So it's also my responsibility to share my knowledge and all those things to you, so that right. Okay, so I need to know MATLAB, because many times students think that okay, embedded system, it's not DSP, FPGA is not available. That's absolutely wrong. Also same way, they think that you need not know signal processing, but you need to know if you want to become an embedded software engineer. Same way, like, you need to know MATLAB, because MATLAB is used in industry. So you can't go to an industry and learn something, right? Because you don't have the time, because your timeline is so tight, so how can you learn a MATLAB, in the short time, and do your work, and complete all of the documentations, test, and everything. You just think yourself actually, then you will get the answer. Why you need to have the things. The college is the only time where you have time to learn the things. Once you go in industry, you'll have a lot of work, and I mean, you need to complete them on time. Then that only going to help you to grow in your career, because the performance evaluation is very strict. You don't perform well, then you're out actually. It's as simple as that. So learn the things. I'm sure your college will have all this evaluation boards and everything, MATLAB and all of that. You can learn that actually, and use this opportunity, to get a good job. And you're working in a core domain. It's always going to help you. I mean, in your career growth, really working in a
Yes,
separate
sir.
domain, like working in banking or such applications will not help in your career. Your career is very short lived, because that's also the reason you are taken electronics or electrical, right? To mainly work actually, else you could have taken computer science, right? Any more questions? Feel free to ask. I'm here. I'm here to clear your doubts actually.
Sir.
Yeah, don't feel hesitate to ask. Yeah, because it's important for you to know the things. Because and also you need to have really know actually different type of jobs and all. So then only it will help you. Because the problem is that sometimes students will think I will join in different role and then I can go back to R&D. It is not so easy. Yeah, you have to understand that.
Actually, no, even uh, your information is very valid, sir, because even our students ultimately grasp the information for the past 1.5 hours. No, you shared a lot of insights over the job market and the practical things which is happening in the industry. So this will be the practical, and this will be the learning part you have to learn. And we really thank you for your connect, sir, actually.
Yeah,
Today,
yeah.
our students are very gracious with your information. This is what exactly happened. And sir, would you please share what the R&D Center of Philips Healthcare they are doing, sir?
No, no, we develop a lot of medical products like X-ray systems and say part of MR and other things actually in Pune. So then in Bangalore, we have a huge R&D for software development actually with over 3,000 engineers.
Okay.
In Pune, we have almost say like in R&D we have around 400 people, and in factory we have around 400 people actually. So we have both R&D in factory in Pune.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Second, you start in a small company, you could easily get job in a big company, yeah, if you have the right skill set. That's what I'm again repeatedly telling you. Don't look at the company size. Don't look at the starting salary that you're going to get. Suppose you get a good salary. I mean, even I have given this lecture to so many college, and in some of the colleges, what professors even told me was that some of the students, after their ECE, they are joining in banks because bank is offering very high salary, almost twice the salary of a normal engineering company. Please don't do that actually. If you really want to work in technical, please don't look at the salary, look at the work content. That's what I'm telling you. You can't come back actually. I mean, it's assume you work in financial type of software for a 1 year and all, you can't come back to embedded system anymore. Okay, so it's very important for you to know that. So you can work in a small company. You can even say like there are a lot of companies in Coimbatore and all, right? I mean, Precol or the Lashmi Mills and all, even they do some electronics development, Premier Evolve Weeks, and there are a lot of things, right, like that, right? So they may not pay very high like an IT company, but you get really good work. You learn really things, okay, and that will be a founding step for your future actually, because at the end your skill set, that will help you to grow in your career, and that define your salary, and not which company you work, and that is not having any value. Okay, so just search it actually. Just opportunities are around you. Just open your eyes and see. You will get it actually. Yeah. What is the question you have, Yogeshwaran? Yeah, yeah. Please feel free to ask. Okay. You can ask me also.
Yo,
It's not. Yeah. It's not.
Yovachan, you can unmute. You can unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Please feel free to ask. Yeah.
Madhu, you can check with that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I'm unmuting him.
Huh? Hello.
Yes, now he is possible to unmute. Yogeshwaran and Yogeshwaran, you are possible to unmute yourselves.
Yeah, you can ask me also, or you can type also.
Oh, sorry, sir.
No problem. If you have anything, you feel free to ask. Okay.
Yes, sir. And I hope session is very good, sir. And if we
No,
facing the interview, yes, sir.
no. 1 minute. If you face an interview with HR, means
Yeah,
okay. See, if you answer wrong, that is okay actually, because the problem you can tell excuse me and tell you can answer it, but please don't bluff in interview. So if you don't know the answer, you say you don't know, or you can say I know only this much and I think this is the answer. Like that you can tell. Or if you answer wrongly, you can pardon and you can repeat actually the correct answer. That is okay. What HR typically sees that how you are communicating, how good is your English, how confidently you are presenting and all. That's very important. In any HR interview, because that's very important actually. How you're going to tell, and you need to be very formal there. Like you have to use excuse me or please and all. Sometimes if you don't use basic manners, such words, like in English there, then they'll treat in another way actually. So you need to have good soft skill there actually. I hope your college will have this soft skill training and all, right? For HR
yes,
interviews
sir.
and all. Yeah, yeah. So I think
Yes,
that'll
sir.
help you.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah. That will help you. Huh? That's very important, huh? Because technical part is different and this is very important. Because not only for HR interview, when you're attending a technical interview, these things are very important. You should have good communication skills, because you have a technical knowledge, but if you don't have communication skills, we will reject there, because then you'll not able to, because your teammates are from different places, different states, different countries, so the language is different. Only we have one language in English, that is only common, right? So that's why you should have very good knowledge in English. So if you are weak in English, you please attend some training and some courses, etc., and improve that. That's very important. I hope that answers your question. Any more
yes.
question?
And any more questions, students? You can post write it now. Ah, send me the feedback link. Yes, sure. We will send. Yes, sir. And sir, shall we move to the conclusion, sir?
Yeah, yeah, fine, perfect.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Actually, no, we,
I
yeah.
will send you the slide to the students. So and also from the
Yes, sir.
college side, what you could do is that you could insist the student whenever they study, like for example to do projects on different things, or or online whenever they do any courses, ensure to have a practical implementation of it in one of the processor, DSP or FPGA. So that way they are going to
Sure,
learn,
sir.
and that will definitely help in their career, for getting an interview call or to clear an interview, really. So this is
Yes, sir.
something,
Yes,
that
sir.
is also the reason you might have read about NASCOM survey, where they are telling engineers are not, engineering grad students are not employable. That is the reason, because they just run for some software. They don't learn. They are just thinking that knowing software to learn is enough. It's not enough. I told you the reason for why it is not enough actually, because your behavior of the system changes, right? So you need to correct. You need to know the hardware. Then only you can develop a software to correct it, right? So
Yes, yes.
yeah, yeah. So that way,
Actually,
yeah, yeah.
we
We can.
relate. Yes, sir. We really relate with your presentation, sir, because it is very useful for our students.
I think one more, see, a real
Yeah.
time application, see, it's been uh, No, you can tell something in if your project is on some study. Sometime, for example, some students do a project on a study. Study means I would say yeah, like you have a different compression techniques. Okay, so you can relate that to a real-time applications actually. So you can give any example. Okay, say for example, your project you develop something, so you can give some application of that project and you can explain actually. So that's a real-time example, right? You can do that actually. That is okay. And another the thing I would like to point in interview is that many time at the end of the interview, in both the technical or HR, they are typically the interviewer will ask a question back to the students. Do you have any questions? So many time I mean not a fresher also. I mean even an experienced person also say we don't have any questions. Please don't they say that. You need to ask something actually about the company. So you need to study about the company well. Say when you say they are developing a car, for example. Okay, so you need to know like you are going for say embedded software also. You need to know ask them like which type of module you are making, and you need to ask a lot of questions. That will again give a big positive about you to the company. They will see that you are very curious actually, because curiosity is very important thing in any domain you go. So you need to have the question. You need to study a basic thing about the company. Ask what type of product there. Then you can ask like which type of technology you can use. Are you using an FPGA, DSP, or why? I mean, so you could even give an answer. If you use this, you could do that. Really that will help you. If you do such answer, then you are the person they're going to recruit. So that's very important. You should bring a positivity into them actually, not only to I mean yourself. You got it now? What I mean to say, right? So that's very important. So you do analysis blindly. Don't go for an interview. You do a basic study about the company, what they do, and then you need to know. Say when your car is making, in car is car has a lot of electronics components, software, and all right. So you need to ask specifically, like, are you developing this, right? Something like that. So that means they will know, like, okay, yes, this person has done a base study, and definitely they will select you. If you are through with other things. I hope that answers you. Okay. So yeah, that's it, sir. Actually, from my side. So probably we could go for
Okay,
it.
sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. And it's the right time to invite Mr. Madhu to propose vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Audible, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
yes,
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 sir.
sir.
Honorable Chairman Thiru R. Sonitchami, sir. Honorable Director Engineer Vigneshwari Arunkumar, Madam. Respected Principal Dr. B.G. Vishnuram, sir. Respected Dean Dr. P. Marchami, sir. And my dear students. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. On behalf of training and placements and the faculty members of P.S.R. Engineering College, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the chief guest and the resource person of today's session, Mr. Ranjit, sir, who graced the occasion with his presence and took out the valuable time of his busy schedule. The students are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence, sir. Also, I would like to extend a special thanks to Dr. R. Kasharaman, sir, Head of Training and Placements. I thank you all the students for showing your interest in this program, and I once again thank everyone for making this program successful. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, and good luck to all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
sir. Okay, bye.